Hi everyone, welcome to another Traders Community podcast. Welcome everyone, traders, investors, punters and dribblers. A day of bouncing today. Big recovery there in most markets. Well, at least the markets we saw, other than the Russell, which has been the weakest of the lot. So we'll go through that in a second. Not a lot of news, really. There was the natural gas inventories. The job numbers or the jobless numbers were the lowest since 1968, I think. So that's pretty well the headlines. So we'll get into that. Just a reminder, this is not financial advice. We are just traders sharing our views, opinions, and what we see, and hopefully that can help you. So let's get into it. I've got the glorious Madavi here to share his views and wisdom as well. So if we look at where we are right now, the WTI is 97.14. The SPX is 45.02. Russell is 2006. Natgas is trading at 638. Nasdaq 14,537, and Volex is at 2312. Okay, so if we start off with the S&P, it's all pretty well like clockwork. So hopefully everyone did well. We had that nice sell-off, and it went exactly to our target. Couldn't have asked for anything more prettier. We're getting some feedback there, mate. So we went right to the confluence of the 50, WMA, and Cajun. So we're able actually to take profit and go the other way to perfection today. So we got lucky there. But as I've said 100 times, it's good to have a plan. And then you kind of know what you're doing. So either this is an A, B, C for the bearish constraint, or all right, 1, 2. That's your two bearish situations. Your bullish is that this is a correction of this whole long move, and we're going higher. So what we're doing is just trading off what our plan is, and you can see just nicely there. If you go to daily, exactly, you wanted more confluence. We look across, so this is where we're able to get pretty heavy on this one, so we did well. Didn't quite go to yesterday's lows, and it held that upsloping line, and we got back over the cloud. And look what we did. This is what all, particularly the dribblers, the 200 is not a real big thing. Look at how it's failed so many times, but it got back over it. And I want to say it closed up like 45.20. It got up to one stage. So Vol came off with that pretty hard. And really the only trades we did was that up and down pretty much. So you can see that bottom way back when was minus 2.8. We've come up. We got to plus 2.8, almost plus 2.8. We've corrected that, A, B, C. And this is at low. See, not quite the double bottom. On the daily, it's a bit more clearer. Here, it looks like the same level. But remember what that is. It's another measured move. So we'll see if it holds all these numbers, and particularly on the weekly. You can see what stopped it was the daily Cajun, right? The 240 Cajun. So you can work through it if you want to go all the way down to 5 minutes. You can see the plus 2.8 spit. Where we actually put a little short on was when it came back under that level as well. That confirmed it. In these manic moves in thin, you want a bit of confirmation. You're seeing a lot of things go to plus 3H, plus 4H. You can see it down here, minus 4H, etc. So that was a nice little close for the day. And look what it tested. This is where that 200 was on the daily. So pretty clinical. A really nice day. S&P per the old Nova wave. Okay, let's bring on Madavi and look at the Nasdaq. So this is the 60-minute. So much the same as S&P. Remember, it had that sell-off. And then it had the same reversal here. Do you want to walk us through
Yeah,
what you saw?
I mean, I just should try to stay on the short side of it. I didn't believe that it bounced like mate did, so that's where I got smashed, short and everything. So, I mean, I did well in the morning. I made some money, and in the afternoon, probably gave most of it back, And then the VIX turned on me too. So, I don't know. I thought this market would continue off with a sell-off.
Yeah, Chit, those S&P levels kind of dominated, didn't they? They really held in. It just shows you how big the computers are, because most of that's mathematics.
Yeah. Microsoft bought a bit at the end, so did it's Apple and stuff, and whatever else. They all helped drag it up.
Yeah. So what was interesting was the Nasdaq was weaker, and I think that's why you were more bearish there, because you were trading that. So the non-tech, I guess, part of the S&P was much stronger. We saw, even though they're nowhere near the same market cap, but we saw like the Walmarts and what were they, Costco and Targets and all these sort of things. A lot of oil stocks started to create a bounce. And that was another thing, and you'll see when we look at oil, what I noticed today, when oil bounced, the stock market bounced. That was a phenomenon many years ago. Maybe it's just a one-day thing.
I should have known when the VIX collapsed that was going to be it.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Yeah, VIX ties in with it as well. And I noticed that even some of the calls we did outside of futures, I think it was Apple. Even Apple was up $1.20 or something from where we bought them, and we're barely up. I mean, they were out of a fair bit away.
Very pulls. And I'm still trying to play catch up. I'm almost there.
Yeah, you did good on the stocks, though.
Yeah, a couple of them on the end.
Yeah, there was some good aftermarket moves, which is interesting. We haven't seen that for a while, but there was some really good, I guess, punter stocks after the market that haven't been running as much. There's been a lot have been disappointing of late. So I tend to chop them pretty quickly because you don't want to get caught with them. Because that usually comes after you've just been caught with one, right? So I did get out of some a little bit earlier this afternoon, but we won't talk about that. So let's have a look at the old Rusty. So this is the weakest of the lot. All the others bounced to positive territory. This thing didn't get back up. And remember, it broke that weekly thing that we've shown many times. But just look at what it did on the 5 minutes. So it bounced. So there's that sell-off, and it bounced, but it just gives it up so easily. Remember, so this is full of the smaller stocks, growth or whatever you want to call it, but basically the higher risk stocks. So that's what you'd like to see do something. As far as bonds go, here's the other thing. So let's change this to M. Well, actually, we'll look at, because we don't normally look at it here, obviously, or we would have. Remember, we don't have to go to M, but we're going to go to June. Let's see if that one comes up. Okay. So you can see. So remember, bonds up is this way, bonds down is this way. That means, lower interest rates. The inverse, higher interest rates. So today, interest rates continue to go up. This is today. They set up low and it went up all day, and the stock market ignored it. So is it ignoring it, or is it choosing to, we're going back to buy bonds, sell stocks, buy stocks, sell bonds, or is the market just broken in many respects? You had Bullard out. He's always hawkish, but a little very extra hawkish today, and little things like that. Anyway, on the hourly, on the weekly, on Russell, here's that pink line. You can see how it busted it yesterday. It spat the tanker, but it barely got back over it. So this is the weakest of the lot. Okay, let's look at energy. So oil continued down today. Remember, this is weekly. So we got a double bottom in play, and that's a double spit of the cage in the pink line on the weekly. So you got a double bottom now. On the weekly, this is 1, 2, 3. If it holds all this, you can argue this is a 4. 4 and A, right? 1, 2, 3 at either. So keep an eye on that level. Now let's have a look at the daily to see it. Now what's interesting, well you can't see it there, but if we go to the daily, once it started bouncing, and you can see the work it's done here. This is 3 times here. This is testing that flat bottom triangle. So all this is testing this. If it breaks all this, as you can see on that weekly, this would be a flat bottom triangle, and then we'd get a hard sell. But on the top side, as you can see on the weekly, you got the 3 waves. But the point being, where's that 60-minute chart? When this started rallying, the stock market started rallying. And now I don't know what that means. It could be coincidence, but keep an eye on that. It could be a lot to do with the economy picking up, risk assets, things like that. Let's see if the machines tie that in a little bit more. Okay, Natty Gas. Natty Gas, this is interesting. So there was a lot of selling done. Remember, this is also the high for 2009 up here. We did it yesterday, and then we sold off hard, and we got back up. So we're sitting right above the triple top. Triple tops are one of the tops more likely to break. So this gets interesting. Higher probability after it came back and held, right? So keep an eye on that tomorrow. And now we're over, this is 5.8, so that means it would recalculate and gives you all this silliness up here. That's on a daily chart. So if you look on the 60, you can see what I mean by the recal, right? Because this is obviously so much shorter. So this is what you need to watch and be careful of. This sell-off yesterday was from a warming up. It was a weather-related thing, and then we came back with weather. So weather models, they're very unreliable at the best of times, but different models are showing different things. So obviously there's more to it than that, you know, with all the LNG talk and all that. Okay, commodities. Here is, why have I got GME there? We were looking at that yesterday. That's correct. Where's gold? So gold, again, we're still in this little pennant. Isn't this look at how perfect that triangle is. So you will be looking all this consolidate. A bullish, we want this to break back up. And perhaps it's got to get all the way to bang the side of the cloud. And then you got this cage in above it. I did notice some of the gold stocks going up today. Gold and NME, symbol gold, which is Barrick. And NME is Newmont. There we go. Copper, just dribbling all day down here, nothing new. Silver, nothing new. See, it's stuck under here. It's got a lot of work to do, really, to get through that. Doesn't look like much, but it is a lot. Wheat was the other one. Wheat. See, there's not a lot going on. These are daily charts, right? So you can see there's a lot of... For all the talk about food and inflation, a lot of these things have come back pretty good. Here's AA, which is aluminium or aluminum, basically. You can see that. Okay, let's move on to some stocks. And I'll just show you the yield. So a lot of people prefer the yield on the 10-year. You can see this is the May contract. This is the inverse, i.e. in yield. And you can see how high it is, 268. It's over the Tengen Sam, it's 263.70. You can see since it broke that clean bull flag, it's just rocketed up. 8H is up here, which is about 273. So there you go. So rates are what's running it, particularly in the morning, right? Apple. So Apple, this is just a great trader. You can see it just jigged around within uncertainty. Today it bounced as high as back to 173 after it tested 170 twice. You can see this little frame. It needs to break one way or the other. For that simple, just keep it simple. We did get back over and test the Cajun Tenken. If that holds, your next target will be this twist that's pulling it up. See that? But you'd want quick resolution. On the downside, you got all this underneath. let's see if those stocks we fiddled around here are on here. So watch this one tomorrow too, SWN. It didn't really react to the natural gas prices today, as you can see. See if it does tomorrow. Okay, let's have a look at what was that one we traded at the end that I got out too early and you?
Which one?
That dollar one.
The MDVL?
Yeah, MTVL. So there was a couple of these medical ones that ran. Now, Madavi's much better at these than me. I tend to get out. I'm paranoid about MTVL. Did I put it in wrong?
Mary, David, Victor, Love.
Oh, that's right. MDVL. So I'm from that school that biotechs are made to be shorted. And when I say that, they tend to get rammed up on things and they nearly always have a secondary. So I got out of this a little bit too early and you'll see what we're talking about. So look at this little beauty. This is 60 minutes, so let's make it a 5-minute chart. So I watched this all day. We saw the news. I brought it up. Then after hours, so the key is, as Madavi's taught us all many times, watch the volume. So the volume stayed. You watch the chatter, kind of like you're in the who's that guy that went to live in? I can't remember his name. Anyway, you kind of like you're spying, for want of a better word. So we held all this. So this is relevant because it tells you there's buying. See, I just held the cage in this 50. Then after hours, it broke. And so I had a buy order and broke into it at 152. It got to 170. It stalled. I said, oh, bugger this. I got things to do. Came back here. And Madavi goes, what are you doing? Next minute, boom. It exploded. I did play a little bit up here. But look at this. So the key here, the volume was chasing it. You were not able to short this stock, which, because this was off the secondary, that's what the news was. It got a fulfilled, so someone gave him money basically. So it came from an 80-cent stock yesterday. This was the secondary, boom, and then carried on today. So that was a good lesson. Madavi obviously did much better than me. He's like one of the best I've seen at reading the volume and stuff.
I need to do some makeup, you know? I'm down too much.
I'm very much from that futures world. I see the momentum go. I'm like, out of here. Way too much sometimes on this sort of stuff. Interesting. So the other one, which was even better than this one, was... Where is it? Chart settings.
You're talking about the SBFM?
No, the C... What was it?
SBFM was really good. Sam, Bravo, Frank, Mary.
Yeah, that's the one. CBFM, is that it? I thought it was that.
Sam, Bravo, Frank, Mary.
Sam Bravo, that didn't come up. Oh, I put, forget it, mate. Senility setting in. I put C in, my bad. Okay, so this was another stock that is a very small float, 6 million. I don't think they even have a patent or a patent. So this opened up. It ran up all day. I did take note of it, and I saw it struggling, and I basically forgot about it. So but some people we know really killed it on this one today. So small float, volume chasing, and then after hours, look at this explosion. All the way up, and now you've got another pennant forming here to do its next move. So you haven't seen these plays for a while really carry on, which is interesting when there's so much bearishness in the market. I mean, you turn on a TV, it's the end of the world, houses are going to collapse, interest rates high, inflation. Now, we're the F, we've had inflation for a year. So do yourself a favour, don't even listen to these people like CNBC, or listen to them if you want to know what So they're up there with the dribblers on FibTwit sometimes, aren't they? So how is it a topic all of a sudden is the point, right? But anyway, of notice, the bounce in the SPOOs today, in the Qs. But look at, we saw two stocks back to back, which really surprised me. And the other one, what was the other one I was playing?
I don't know. I played.
MNTS. So this one I can't. So this was an interesting play that was scalping around today.
SST was good too. I was playing around all day.
Oh yeah. That's another good one. We'll look at that. So MNTS. I found this interesting, given. Maybe we should have used that picture of Elon. So this company did a deal which has been in play for a long time with SpaceX, another little Musk company. So it bounced up. Mega Johnny's not here at the moment. He's all tied up in a meeting, but he had alerted us to this one. So we did a few trades on it. Very heavy volume. It died off, then out of nowhere, and this is what happens in after hours. If you're trading after hours, it gets thin, but if you get volume, you get this sort of thing. And look what it did, 410 to 470 very fast. So you get a mixture of these small stocks, and then you saw the other one, which was a cancer one, 6 million. The key in the other one, there's only 6 million in the float, right? And it has the word cancer cure once that's in it. We'll see how they get out. Now the other one, so Walmart was another one, by the way. As you know, my theory on that one. So that continued up. It's gone more than what I thought. So I love, but it was great to be right, but it would have been, not SCT, it's SST, is it? Yeah, I got the wrong one. Sorry, SST. I think it is. This is another small one. So in these kind of bear markets situations, you kind of put your punter's hat on and go with the faster money. Okay, so this is an hourly chart. Well, let's look a little bit deeper. So this is a daily chart. I forget I think this was a SPAC. Obviously, smaller, the market got short. This ran as high as $36 yesterday. You may recall Madavi did a great trade selling options up here. It was like crazy premium, $14 for $22 option call expiring tomorrow. And then anyway, so it's come all the way back. And so right now, we're right in the midstream of this. So it's going to be interesting because, again, small stock, there are options in what it does tomorrow. There are warrants on this. So we got our eyes on to see how this goes tomorrow. We will watch some other gamma plays tomorrow if they do suit up. But so these sort of new ones, these aren't for the faint-hearted. If you are a dribbler, do not go in these. You will get caught up here like all your other dribbler stocks. If you're an investor, it looks a bit rich. So this is purely for fast traders and punters, I guess, or stay away from it. You can see what happened, and this was on News Fruition. I forget the actual name of it. It's like digital, but very interesting game. Here's Walmart, as I said. That has continued up. Remember, this is it's become more a defensive stock, kind of like a utility with the negative stuff. So what was interesting today, this pullback was when Apple started to go back up, but Apple pulled back at the end of the day. I mean, it was off its lows, but it was well off its highs too. And that's about it. Anything else we want to look at?
No, but ATER might run tomorrow.
Which one?
ATER, ATER.
Oh, I saw that one. So this, so this one, ATER. This one, so a lot of these SPACs, so we just saw a few. So what I'm seeing is that they really get concentrated. A few will work and a few don't. So you want to watch volume. Oh, that's not it. That's Atari. Whoops, sorry. It's ATER, isn't it?
Yeah, ATER.
So again, this is one. Let's go to our hourly. So these stocks where this was a dribbler. A lot of these were dribblers. So there's a lot of overhang in them. And you know how it is averaging. There was news the other day, but I really don't know what it was. So we just noticed the price volume. But we can go back and look what that was. But you can see this 1, 2, 3, 4, all these spikes. So there's overhead volume there. We know that, right? So if we look at that. So that's all this. See this? From before. And if we go back. So you'd really want to see it get through all this. You can see how many people got caught on this. But to get through this, you got all this room above it. It fails. If it's shortable, I'm not sure if we can borrow this. Sometimes you can't borrow these good short dribblers. Then it fails, you got your short on. So there you have it on that one. So yeah, there's some ideas for you tomorrow. You got your levels on oil and natural gas. Natural gas is at a massive, massive level here. If it gets above here, that's a 16-year high. Fundamentally, we saw jobless report come out today. That was, like I said at the intro, the lowest in 68. There was some seasonal adjustment, so I don't know if that affects that, but perhaps. And as we said on those numbers, everything rebounded except for the Russell into positive territory. So the other thing is the large caps. So the other thing, as Madavi mentioned, Microsoft and Apple. That's a big thing. Costco had a nice flow on. We tried to get them out. Someone tweeted all that from us yesterday. What's happening after hours? Hopefully that helps. So that's right. The other bullish thing, for want of a better word, this is where we are. The February consumer credit number came out, and that had a seasonally adjusted annual rate of a plus 11.3%. Revolving credit increased at an annual rate of 20.7%. Non-revolving increased annual rate of 8.4%. What does all that mean? Well, that means people are borrowing, and these are from February, so we had inflation coming in there. So people are prepared to borrow because a lot of people saved a lot over the whole lockdown deal. So how long that lasts is another thing. But that was the market took that as positive. Oh, the economy's they're still gonna. It's all about the consumer, right? But we're very much at God, I'd like to say 2-speed. We're about 5-speed. You've got your Wall Street types, your elite bankers, your politicians who have no idea. And then you got your middle class that works their butt off, pays their taxes in between, 401ks. Then you've got a massive working class to lower middle class that are barely breaking even, right? Had all their incomes destroyed, all that sort of stuff. What do you call it? Food to mouth, right? And then, of course, you've got all your non-workers with, people are invalid, pensions, all that sort of thing. Which is a massive percentage as well. So you got these different groups of people, but these costs, which are very high and accelerating, obviously affect other people more than others. So it's going to be interesting what goes on. And just remember, if you follow monetarism, the high costs of all that are putting the brakes on everyone anyway. So the interest rate effect really only affects people that can borrow, right? It really makes money for the banks and stuff like that. So it's an interesting view, and it keeps getting pointed back to Volcker. So yes, he shut it off. This is different times. You've also got a war in here now. You got all that money printed. And the way the curve's shaping, as I've said before, it's like they're going to go too hard on the inflation, kill the growth. And that you got to be wary of. And I think that's why they've been holding off, Powell, etc., Brainard, and we saw the minutes yesterday at least politically saying all that, they got to raise it. Because they've been left carrying the bag, right? They're not the ones that did all the insane fiscal spending and the lockdowns and all that sort of stuff and the political games of America. Wonderful, isn't it? So think through all that. It's just not black and white. Raise interest rates solves your problems. It ain't that easy. Anyway, do we have anything out tomorrow?
No.
Just wholesale inventories. That's all that's out. Next week, the banks, the big banks, kick off earnings season, and they all got pummeled. I don't know where they finished up, but by midday, I noticed they're all getting pummeled. So you're going to the market's going to switch to earnings next week. It's going to be their focus. You can see they're gently... Greed has a funny thing. It has no morals or ethics. So all that stuff that worries people, wars, inflation, what else, all that, anything that's human, I guess. The market, particularly of algorithms, doesn't see that. So they will move on to that. So keep an eye on those. Get familiar with those major stocks. XLF, the ETF. There was movement there because Citibank and Capital One both said they're not going to charge for overdrafts, which is a great thing, really, but I get less profits, right? So they sold off on it. And then I want to say it was the New York Attorney General is suing the other banks to make them do it too. So that was really, unless there was other news, but that's what I saw moving the banks. So thank you, Madavi. Good work on those stocks today, mate.
Yeah.
And if you like what we see, we hope you do. That's why we do it. Like us, share us, subscribe to us, and get your mates to subscribe. And have a great rest of the week. It is Friday tomorrow. So get ready for your weekend. It's that time of the year where we're getting into really good weather. Well, we are anyway, and where Madavi is. So hopefully where you are too.